People are saying that a stalker has stolen a lot of information, or particularly really sensitive information, from JK. People have also said that there is a security footage looking thing that made people think that JK was doing something maybe a little inappropriate. And then we have also V saying, "Don't do this to me," and then getting embarrassed. So Dumplings, it's safe to say, let's get into it. There's a story that's gone viral recently, and it's people talking about how V has friend-zoned a lot of people within the community. There was an interview in which V was asked what the community means to him, or where he sees the community in his heart, and he basically said best friends. Other moments are moments in which he said on Weavers has basically him saying best friends and friend-zoning the community as well. And a lot of people have found that to be very funny. And of course, if you've been following the BTS members for quite some time, you'll know that that is very different from what the other members say. Specifically, they like to say that the community is their girlfriend and that they dedicate their time and love to the community, which people love, and they get very excited when they hear that because they feel like they're in a relationship with the boys. And I also hope that when the boys say this, people are aware that they're just saying that they're dedicating their love and time to the community, but that they're not actually in a relationship with every single person in the community. And I say this because I think there are genuinely people who believe that they are, and I feel like I have to say this. Now, a lot of people have tried to break the friend zone thing that V likes to do, but no one else has been able to do it except for one person, and that is the person that we are talking about today that has gone viral. Apparently during a fan meet, the person or fan asked V saying that there is something missing that V doesn't have, specifically saying that V is very well except for this one thing that is broken and they would be offering to fix it. And then of course V asks, "What is this thing?" And the girl replies, "My heart." This was really funny because it seemed like V got really embarrassed at that moment and he was freaking out and had googly eyes and was a little bit red. He seemed very flustered, and he even took the hat that he was wearing and pulled it down on his face, to which he uttered the words, "Please don't do this to me." And of course, given the track record that he has of typically friend zoning the community, this was a moment that a lot of people were very jealous about. They very much were freaking out over this idea that V seemingly did not reject her advances and that he seemingly was okay with it or potentially even felt the same way. Of course, this obviously doesn't mean that he actually felt any particular way towards her. Like, I don't think he was interested romantically, but you also have to keep in mind that sometimes it's really difficult to express or say something in real life. And when you're met with a person in front of you and they say something that really catches you off guard, because this seemingly really did catch him off guard, you don't automatically think to say what you might normally say. I don't particularly think that there's anything wrong with that, but I obviously think that what we would consider a normal response from him might not have been a response that he even thought to give at that moment in time because he was so caught off guard. And it's really easy for us to sit here and say, well, he should have said this. But you just don't think of these things sometimes, and I'm sure if someone were to catch you off guard and say something to you, you might even have a similar reaction as well, where you just don't know what to say. And he really seemed at a loss for words at that moment. So I really do think that that's what happened. But to me, it's definitely crazier that there is even this reaction. Of course, I understand the reaction because it's funny and cute, but of course, it's not really news yet for some reason. And it's what people are talking about, so it's what I'm talking about. People are talking about a lot of things. I mean, for example, there is this situation with JK and his passport being leaked. There were some people who were claiming to be stalkers and had either broken into JK's apartment or had hacked into his computer system and were somehow able to get a copy of his passport. Now, likely his passport would not be on his computer, so it seemed like this person might have allegedly grabbed his passport and then scanned it and posted it online. It seemed like one of those accounts that claimed to be stalkers, and then they specifically ask people to either send them money or maybe they're just asking for a specific amount of likes, and then they will leak the private information that they found. It's kind of crazy that I even use this word like one of these accounts as if it's like a normal thing to see these type of accounts. But it is nowadays. I see it every day on my feed, and there's like these different types of stalker accounts that are popping up, and I'm not seeing it because I follow any of them, but I'm seeing it because that's what's trending. Now, I don't really understand the point of leaking private information like this or doing this in general, because I personally believe that this is a fake account and it's pretending to steal information. I don't actually believe that it's a real stalker account. They actually have any real information. So what's the point of seeming like a stalker and trying to leak personal information? Because the bottom line is you could get arrested for something like that. If the evidence really does feel like you are a stalker, you could actually get arrested for that. But even if you couldn't get arrested for that, why do you want the police knocking on your door? And if it is a real stalker account, then obviously you would get arrested for sure. There's no debate about that. But if you somehow were to grab a BTS member's passport, then you clearly would have to had been very close to the boys in distance, or have either been into their apartment or hotel room. Now, I don't know how much of the passport can actually be shown, but I think it's fine if everything is censored. But the picture that was posted online was already half censored. So the picture was censored, and then the actual information that would make it seem like it was JK was also all censored. So the only thing that was shown for like the birthday was 1997. The actual month and day were completely censored out. And you can show a month and a day of a birthday, especially if everyone knows what his birthday is. It being censored tells me that it isn't actually him and that they just found someone who had the same birth year and decided to censor the face and make it look like it was JK's passport. So it's definitely strange for a stalker to leak something, but at least show the picture. So if the point was to get people to pay them and then they will reveal the actual photo, then you should actually show JK's picture so people know it's actually him. This to me just cries someone who wants a lot of attention and clearly isn't getting enough attention either from their friends or from their family, and they're just trying to seek some sort of attention online, whether that is through mass amounts of DMs or waking up in the morning to see 100 people retweeting or liking their post. I mean, in some cases, they're trending worldwide or acknowledged by the BTS members themselves. So then that definitely would feed their ego, right? The thing that I find very interesting about kind of Western fans and that sort of stuff is obviously stalkers and really strange behavior like that exist within every type of fandom. But in a lot of Western fandoms, if there are people who the community is obsessed with, they don't lie about things. Whereas K-pop and the community surrounding K-pop love to lie about the smallest things. And I'm not really sure why. There is literally this joke that exists outside of K-pop that says that K-pop fans just wake up and lie. Of course, this is not all K-pop fans. I try my best to not lie or do whatever, but obviously sometimes you can't help it. But we're not talking about those types of lies, right? We're talking about the blatant lies where someone's pretending to be a stalker, which is crazy. And then other people will write things online that I think is kind of crazy, but not necessarily a bad thing. For example, there was this post going around that was trending today. It's actually where people were talking about Jimin and JK. They specifically used this shot or footage of them in Are You Sure? This is their reality show, and it was a moment in which we saw them in bed together, waking up in the morning. I will admit it's kind of strange to see them like this, but as they say, they do consider themselves each other's brothers, so it's less strange if you think about it in a sibling way. And I'm not saying it's strange because if they were gay, it would be strange. But I'm saying it because they both have kind of hinted towards not being gay. So then it would be sus for them to do this, right? But some people were talking about the fact that the footage itself looked strange, where they thought it was some adult content that was appearing on their feed. And of course, the footage that was going viral was coming from Twitter or X, which allows for this adult type of content on there. Some people thought it was an intro to, let's say, a man-on-man type of adult content, and other people were curious on what this was if they had never seen the reality show, right? Now, looking at some of the images from this little clip, you can even think that it could appear like a scene from a gay or a BL drama. However, those who have watched the show actually know where the clips come from and have decided to talk about it. And a lot of people were definitely wondering what was going on before this moment that was shown and if there was something maybe more intimate happening there. But these are all thoughts, and these thoughts are totally fine to have. But of course, there is no proof of anything solid that we can use to fully determine if this is true or not. So they're just fantasies, they're just thoughts. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos linked down below. Thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.